dignitaries on the dais, delegates, and the water family members. I am glad to be here as part of this conference. The subject, the topic itself is quite interesting. Connecting the dots, finding out or evolving practical strategies for combating the climate change. And there are several terminologies being used in attempting to understand what is this climate change, how we can adjust to it. Like we often keep hearing about climate adaptation, climate resilience. Then we are also thinking about climate mitigation. So all these terminologies are interchangeable, or there are slight differences among them. Probably the resilience leads to adaptation, or adaptation leads to resilience, and the communities are generally tuned to that. We are not inventing anything as such, something might be existing there. And we are only looking at it from a focused perspective and trying to bring out certain revelations or understandings so that we can put that in our regular programs which we are taking up to handle various issues that keep cropping up from time to time, even either from the government side or the other implementing organizations like civil society organizations. And if we come to the natural resource management based programs, as I understand, climate change covers an array of subjects: agriculture, food security, biodiversity. Then we are also talking about livelihoods, how it's affecting the livelihoods. May not be exactly natural resource based livelihoods, it could be other livelihoods as well. So there are several ramifications of the climate change. And as the earlier speaker was mentioning, the integrated watershed management projects, the NRAGS and other natural resource management programs taken up by the Agriculture Department, all work toward this, though the climate change, the term is not often used in our day-to-day functioning. The NRM programs started happening way back in 70s and 80s, but a systematic watershed management program was taken up from early 90s, 94, 95. The drought prone area program, the desert development program, integrated wasteland development program, all aimed at this, but the approach was not focused. Basically, people started talking about works, NRM works, constructing check dams, other water harvesting structures, soil and moisture conservation works, and all these things. Then came, now we have this integrated watershed management program. In between, some other programs happened: rural livelihood programs, watershed plus approach, natural resource management plus production systems enhancement, plus livelihoods. And all these, like in Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, DFID funded certain rural livelihood programs. If that added something to the existing financial, existing funding, some supplementing happened, training and capacity building and livelihoods and production systems enhancement. Then all those things were taken into common guidelines and integrated watershed management was brought into effect. Even now, even this program doesn't exactly speak about climate change. It doesn't speak about biodiversity. Maybe somewhere in broad objectives something might have been embedded, but the focus is not there. That is the situation. And all drought adaptation initiatives that were talked about were only piloted mostly. Like in Andhra Pradesh, World Bank funded one AP Drought Adaptation Initiatives project. Some NGOs worked on it. Some findings came out. They started working on livelihoods and from different angles, not only agriculture, animal husbandry, different kinds of livestock management. Then groundwater cooling, groundwater collectivization, because that's an important natural resource. All these things happened even in Andhra Pradesh. We are implementing in IWMP at a large scale, but still the focus on climate change at all levels, starting from state level to the community level, is lacking. That I must admit. We also started working with NGOs so that they can bring some focus into it. We selected some NGOs as project implementing agencies so that they can bring these innovations in different forms. Like now, this organization is there. They have vast experience in working in certain sectors, maybe externally funded agencies, or why I am particularly mentioning about external funded agencies. They bring a lot of focus on certain issues. Whereas our regular programs, things will be spread among different components in a strictly measurable fashion, like this much percentage should go to this much percentage should go toward this component, like that. So they bring in some innovation, create some pilots which can show that okay, this is workable, and try to scale it up. That is what we expect from civil society organizations. And we are working with different organizations. We already had one workshop on climate change. We tried to bring in different stakeholders, starting from officials and down below community members, to see how we can translate this highly climate change means, it sounds very high-fi. The terminology, and I'm an Indian Forest Service officer. Even for me, certain terms, they look quite, I have to focus on it, otherwise I can't understand. At international level, the language used. So the language has to be simplified and it has to be translated into people's language and the terms which they can understand. And the strategies also should be developed accordingly, and the subjects being covered. In fact, I had an opportunity to watch this kind of short video film made by water staff, thanks to Bhavna. That's just a 2-minute film on sustainable agriculture. That caught my attention. It was very interesting and effective means of communication. And then this workshop this colloquium came up. The subjects are very interesting and very, relevant to today's context. And I am looking forward for more discussion and more insights into the subject as the conference, the colloquium progresses. And I wish the conference organizers all the best for bringing out a lot of valuable inputs at the end of the colloquium.